Someone left a comment on one of my Proud Family videos where I was discussing grooming and said that Braceface has a similar episode where one of the young female characters was trying to grab the affections of her teacher. And I said, what the hell are they over there talking about on Braceface?
If you guys want A's on your projects, you should put the same thought and imagination into them as Maria just did.
Can you believe he complimented me in front of everyone? But I almost died when he put his hands on my shoulders. It totally gave me the chills.
What's good, guys? It's Alissa. If you're new here, hello. First things first, y'all know I gotta get the formalities out the way. You can follow me on TikTok, Instagram, Blue Sky. All that information is in my description box down below. I also have a second channel where I post more lifestyle stuff. I'm definitely going to be sticking to the cartoon content on this channel. I also have a Sims channel that I post on very frequently. So if you're into Sims content and you're into Alissa content, those two worlds have definitely collided. And of course, I always want to shout out my patrons over on Patreon who got early access to this video and other videos down the line. I also have a couple watch alongs on there if you are in the Prismo tier, where I watched War of the Worlds for the first time, and you'll see my initial reaction of watching that Netflix documentary Unknown Number, and I also gave my thoughts on that on this channel as well. But with that out the way, let's get into it. Braceface is one of those shows where you remember watching them as a kid, but it definitely feels like a fever dream. Kind of like Sagwa on PBS Kids, or Making Fiends, or even Stoked. I remember in high school, I was telling one of my friends how much I loved the show Cat Scratch on Nickelodeon, and they were literally looking at me as if I was talking to an imaginary friend standing next to me, as if that show just never existed. So from my recollection, I thought that Braceface was a show about middle school kids that got into crazy hijinks, kind of like the middle school version of 16, shout out to Canada, but like never really discussed real issues that kids face, and I was totally wrong. If you didn't know, on this channel I do cover different shows like Daria and the Proud Family, and I talk about real life issues that these shows tackle, and the reasons why it's so important to put that in children's programming, because it's no perfect time to talk about these real issues, and it's better to have these discussions earlier rather than later, instead of sending your child out into the world unprepared when these situations do arise. So as a Tubi-holic, I have been binging Braceface, watching it every single day while I'm playing Sims or doom scrolling, until I finally got to the episode titled Teachers Pet, where our main character Sharon's best friend Maria starts to develop a crush on her substitute English teacher and goes to great lengths to get his affections. The episode starts with Sharon and Maria's English teacher, Mrs. Morton, not being available to teach because she just had a baby. So they're left with this new young substitute teacher, Mr. Riley, for the rest of the year.
Now, Mr. Riley and I expect nothing less than your best behavior for the next few weeks.
They kind of introduced Mr. Riley as this attractive 20-something, maybe early 30s type teacher, slightly racially ambiguous fine shit pretty much. And immediately you notice that Maria has googly eyes for him, or at least is intrigued as soon as he walks into the class. Now, I'm not gonna sit here and pretend that a student having a crush on their teacher is just completely unheard of. I remember in school when there was a younger male teacher, all the girls thought he was just so cute, and vice versa. If there was a younger female teacher, all the guys thought that she was cute. Not justifying it at all, just saying I remember this growing up. But in this show, the kids immediately think that Mr. Riley is just so cool because instead of doing work, he tells the class that they're gonna head outside and play a game. But before that, there's this weird scene where before he exits the class, he stops and looks back and locks eyes with Maria, and my skin just started crawling. So I was like, what are we brewing up in this episode? What are we doing here? Their original teacher, Mrs. Morton, gave him a syllabus to follow, telling him that the students have to do an oral book report. But since he doesn't know what books the kids are supposed to be doing reports on, he decides to have them play a game of charades to figure out their book or the author. He asks if anyone would want to go first, and Maria eagerly raises her hand to act out her book report's author. Maria is pretty good at charades, and the students are able to guess the author of her book, who ends up being George Orwell. And to no one's surprise, Mr. Riley is the one who guessed correctly, and the title of the book somehow.
Well, Snorwell, Orwell, George Orwell. 1984 by George Orwell?
I really doubt any of the students would have guessed correctly anyway. Like, they got the clues, but they didn't guess the author, because we find out that the most Maria knows about this book is the title and the author, because she hasn't actually read it.
I can't wait to see your final report tomorrow.
This was fun. Now I might even read the book.
So I'm assuming that that's the case for the rest of the class as well. Mr. Riley tells Maria that she did a great job and he appreciates her enthusiasm to participate and that he can't wait for her final report tomorrow. Now, I'm gonna be honest, this part was a little bit weird to me because it literally just kept going. Like, I understand words of encouragement, but it kept going.
Good job. You're awesome. Thanks for going first. I really appreciate your enthusiasm.
Thanks.
Sharon invites Maria to hang after school, but Maria decides that she's gonna actually work on her book report tonight since, again, she didn't actually read the book and it's due tomorrow.
I'm gonna stay home and start my project. Ooh, teacher's pet. Takes one to know one.
Sharon calls her a teacher's pet, which is true by definition. A teacher's pet is a pupil who has won the teacher's special favor, or a person who's treated as the favorite by one in authority. This also happens to be the title of the episode, which kind of makes you believe that it starts with Mr. Riley showing favoritism towards Maria, when really it starts with Maria doing everything she can to be in the good graces of Mr. Riley. So I don't know what that would be called, but two things can be true at once, of course, because you see that Mr. Riley does value her as a student over time. But this episode has more to do with Maria's sudden romantic feelings towards her teacher than it is her being a teacher's pet. Anyways, somehow while the girls are walking home, here comes Mr. Riley on a bike and popping wheelies.
Hey, Maria. Hey, Sharon.
Was that Mr. Riley? That was so cool.
And Maria thought this was the coolest thing that somebody could have ever done. And that's the thing about childhood crushes, even taboo ones like this, where any adult that sees a grown man riding past them on a bike popping wheelies would probably think that that was corny and lame. Like, I don't want no Scrubs. Scrubs is guy can't get no love from me, hanging out the passenger side of his best friend ride, trying to holler at me type beat, right? But Maria, who is an adolescent, thought that this was so cool and that the bike that he had was just so awesome, and this made his aura points go up or whatever. So during this entire episode, Sharon is trying to get Maria to give the school flirt and class clown Brock a chance, which is funny to me because Brock has also tried to pine after Sharon, and Sharon wasn't going for it because all the girls at school thinks that he's lame and immature. So I don't know why she thought that Maria would want Brock, who is probably the most vocal in her disgust for him.
Is he serious? Brock, thanks for saving me a chair.
Hey!
At Sharon's house, she's doing her homework with her boyfriend Alden, and she reveals to him that she thinks that Maria has a crush on Mr. Riley.
He's okay. What do you think?
That Maria has a crush on him.
Why won't you just give Brock a chance? He's a little closer to her age.
And in the middle of this conversation, Maria actually stops by to ask Sharon to borrow a skirt. This completely throws Sharon off because Maria is not the skirt wearing type. And even worse, she wants to wear the skirt specifically to give her oral report in front of the whole classroom, and more specifically in front of Mr. Riley.
What's tomorrow?
My book report in front of the whole class, remember? But you never wear skirts. I've never had a reason to before.
So the next day, Maria comes to school in not only a skirt, but some platform shoes that she can barely walk in and lip gloss.
How do I look? Amazing. But let me fix your lip gloss.
Maria asks Sharon for reassurance that Mr. Riley would like her look, and Sharon says definitely. And this threw me off because for someone who has been anti-Maria crushing on Mr. Riley, I thought it was crazy that Sharon was feeding into this nonsense. And look, It's not uncommon for a student to develop this admiration or attachment towards their teacher, and I'm sure this is because of a teacher's role as a positive figure in a student's life. I often talk about this on my channel about adults who do not receive a lot of positive affirmations verbally from their authority figures at home tend to seek it in different ways in their adult life. Words of affirmation are a crucial part for children's early development. There's this innate need to be validated in all things that you do, and there's a direct cause and effect when you receive that validation in your early development and when you don't. From your parents, it's a form of parental familial type love that's received and is interpreted as such. But these feelings of admiration towards their teacher can sometimes be muddled and often intensified because of how close and consistent the interaction of validation is from this authority figure, i.e. the teacher in this episode. I will say that this is a phase for many students, and it usually fades over time, and it can be completely harmless as long as it is not acted upon. But as an adult, I will say that you can peep things that a child may not recognize is happening. So I'm not putting it past Mr. Riley seeing Maria dress and behave in a certain way on the first day when they met, then her starting to become a whole different person as class continues, and also her continuous pursuit of his affections are known to half the class damn near. So I'm almost positive that he's aware of this too. And it's always, and I mean always, the job of the adults to be the adult in the situation and nip things in the bud instead of feeding into the delusion. I think any rational adult would react like this, unless...
I'm Chris Hansen with Dateline NBC, and we're doing a story.
Honestly, I'm just impressed that Maria read her book so fast, literally in one singular night, to be able to give her presentation the following morning. Like, she was on some real vamping shit. Nobody says vamping anymore. Let's bring back old lingo. Anyway, the whole class is entertained by her presentation, and even Mr. Riley is impressed.
Excellent job, Maria. Listen up. If you guys want A's on your projects, you should put the same thought and imagination into them as Maria just did.
He stands in front of the class with her to tell everyone they should follow her lead, putting his hand on her shoulder. The sight of this completely shook Sharon to her core. She found this absolutely inappropriate, while for Maria, it gave her some unexpected validation in front of everyone.
Did you see the way he clapped? It was loud, right? Like he really meant it. Can you believe he complimented me in front of everyone? You deserved it. But I almost died when he put his hands on my shoulders. It totally gave me the chills.
Sharon mostly thinks that this is so odd that Maria has a crush on him because he's old.
Mr. Riley and I have a connection. But he's old. Really old. Like 25 or something.
I'm like, what do you say fuck me for?
I guess I like mature guys.
Sharon is still trying to get Maria to go after Brock instead of Mr. Riley, but Maria says that she just likes a mature guy and Brock is definitely not mature. Mind you, they're in middle school. But girl, Mr. Riley is not the mature that you're looking for. Maria starts obsessing over her looks and even starts to wear her hair down.
What do you think Riley's gonna wear to the open house tonight? Do you think he'll be in teacher's clothes or his normal ones?
And with open house coming up tonight, Maria is anxious because Mr. Riley is going to be there. And as she puts it, will be meeting her parents. So she's scared of her parents potentially being cringe in front of Mr. Riley. But Sharon is more concerned that Maria is becoming more girly than her. At the open house, Mr. Riley pulls Maria's parents to tell them how great of a student Maria is and what a pleasure she is to have in the class. And again, putting his hand on her shoulder. And my issue with Mr. Riley is that he's very hands-on. Even in this moment in front of her parents, he's laughing and touching her shoulder and saying that her compliments are making him blush.
I wouldn't be doing so well if you weren't such a good teacher.
Oh, you're making me blush.
Oh, it's true. I was never really into English until now.
I was really starting to believe that Riley liked Maria as much as she liked him.
And I don't know, if I was her parents, I would have clocked that so easy because my trust is already in the dirt. So you wouldn't be making these type of comments in front of me, and there would definitely have to be some type of 6 foot minimum contact. And honestly, I would have reported his ass right there. Like, hello? And she definitely would have had to switch classrooms. And again, it's the adult's responsibility to do the right things in this situation. And maybe that was the intention of the show, to make him creepy, but like unintentionally creepy. But the way this episode ended did not help. And I personally just find this creepy, intentionally. After the open house, Maria just continues to daydream and go on and on about Riley, claiming that she's in love, and not like love, like love.
Are you okay, Maria?
You know, I really think I'm in love.
Wait a minute. Like love or love?
I'm talking love.
Mr. Riley even joins them at lunch, and Sharon, caring more about what people think than the actual optics of a teacher choosing to sit with students at lunch, decides to get her and Maria to move tables once he sits down, but Maria decides to stay.
Hey guys, mind if I join you?
There was nothing more uncool than being seen with a teacher at lunch. But here was Maria wanting him to sit next to her. She was definitely in deep with this one. We were just leaving. You coming, Maria?
You go ahead. I'll catch up with you in a minute.
Once Sharon leaves, Mr. Riley proposes a secret rendezvous with Maria at Chez Rene, which is a very upscale restaurant in their town with a signature dessert called the Flaming Eddie. He tells her not to tell anyone or they might get jealous.
I'd love for you to meet me at Chez Rene's for lunch, say 1-ish?
Chez Rene? I'd love to.
Don't spread it around though. I don't want anyone to be jealous.
Other than this whole encounter throwing red bricks at my head, I was trying to figure out how Mr. Riley was able to afford Chez Rene on a substitute teacher's salary, but anyway, of course, your best friend doesn't count when someone tells you not to tell anybody. So when Maria shares this information with Sharon, she is completely creeped out.
Let me guess. Riley asked you to marry him? Close. Mr. Riley, I mean Chris, is taking me to Chez Rene tomorrow. What? Isn't that kind of weird? Well, what's weird about it? He likes me. We're gonna hang out.
And after Maria learns that Mr. Riley's first name is Chris, which he tells her is what the reservation is under, she starts to call him that instead. She even equates him asking her to the restaurant as him basically asking her to marry him. Sharon is trying to put some sense into Maria's head that this is extremely weird for a teacher to be asking to hang out after school, which is correct. No other way around that. But Maria thinks that Sharon is just hating on the fact that someone likes her now for just being herself, since Sharon is usually the one that the boys go after.
Meeting outside of school? I mean, he is our English teacher.
Can't you just be happy for me, Sharon? Sharon, I have been listening to you go on about Alden forever, and now I finally found someone special who thinks I'm special back, and you can't handle it.
But Sharon quickly points out that Maria has been doing everything but being herself in order to get Riley's attention, from the skirts to the platform shoes to even wearing her hair down. Word gets around quick that Mr. Riley is taking Maria to Chez Rene because of course no one ever keeps their mouth shut at this school, thank God. And I noticed that this happens a lot in the show where Sharon tells something to Maria or her boyfriend Alden and it just becomes a domino effect of gossip, which is really parallel to real life, honestly. Anyway, Alden ends up telling Brock about Mr. Riley's secret rendezvous with Maria, literally skin crawling as we speak, saying this.
If you're really interested, I am. Then you'd better step up and show her you care. He's taking her to Chez Rene's tomorrow.
Wait, isn't that restaurant the most expensive place in town?
Exactly, dude. You're gonna have to figure out a way to top that one.
And instead of this being a concern, Alden is delivering this information to Brock as if Brock and Mr. Riley are in a competition for Maria's heart. Sharon, being worried for her, brings this information to her older brother Adam.
What if a teacher asked a student to meet him at Chez Rene's for lunch today?
Okay, that's totally creepy. A teacher taking a student out to the nicest restaurant in town? Sharon,
Are you the student in this scenario?
Adam immediately thinks that the student that she's talking about is herself. So Adam makes it a point to emphasize how creepy it is for a teacher to be taking a student out to a fancy restaurant. But of course, Sharon clarifies that the person is actually Maria. So he tells her that Mr. Riley is doing something completely illegal, and if he were her, he would be making sure that Maria is okay.
If what you're saying is true, then what this guy is doing is totally illegal. Listen, if I were you, I'd be making sure Maria's okay.
You're right. What was I thinking?
And as much as Sharon and Adam have a typical sibling dynamic where they get on each other's nerves, one thing I appreciated while I was watching this show is how level-headed Adam can be when it comes to his sister, which is contrary to a lot of shows with sibling dynamics. Sharon and Adam are very supportive of each other and do not play when it comes to their siblings. Adam usually has words of wisdom to give to Sharon, and the only time that I can remember that he didn't was when he basically excused his grandfather for being racist when Sharon came to him with that concern, at least at the point of the show that I'm at.
Grampy isn't racist. Then why does he say things about people? You probably never noticed. It's not really obvious.
I think he may be a little prejudiced, but he's not racist.
What's the difference?
But he's nice most of the time, and funny, and generous. I think you're being overly sensitive.
Maria puts on her best outfit to meet Mr. Riley, and Sharon zooms over there to intervene as Shay Renee. There was a small plot hole in this episode where Mr. Riley tells Maria that the reservation is under Chris Riley.
By the way, the reservation's under my full name, Chris Riley.
Chris. His name's Chris. Wow.
So I was under the impression that when Sharon got there, that she was going to be turned away at the door when she asked for a reservation under Mr. Riley, but she was let right in.
Is there a table reserved for Mr. Riley? I'm here to meet him.
Which raises my eyebrow because how often does a minor come to this restaurant inquiring about a reservation with Mr. Riley? Sharon hides under the table, and then Mr. Riley and Maria arrive. The conversation is really awkward and weird out of context, and like low-key in context too, from what Sharon is hearing from underneath the table.
Wow, your sweet tooth's as big as mine.
It's my way of saying thanks.
Thanks? What was he thanking her for?
Oh, sorry.
Sorry.
It's okay.
To their surprise though, a bunch of other students start piling in at the table, and here's where we find out that Mr. Riley invited a bunch of students to Shay Renee to thank them for being great students and to recruit them as tutors for his new project, the Volunteer Literacy Program.
As you know, I work at a bunch of schools. As far as I'm concerned, you guys are the best and brightest from all my classes. I've invited you here today in the hope of recruiting you guys as tutors for my new project, the Volunteer Literacy Program.
The night quickly goes to crap when Sharon's head bumps into the table, knocking over all the flaming eddies and causing a huge fire, exposing Sharon's hiding place. They run off, and Maria breaks down saying that she just feels silly for thinking that this was a personal date between her and Mr. Riley.
Looks like you have nothing to be worried about.
I'm glad.
I'm so embarrassed. I thought he liked me.
Sharon is just glad that she came to her aid, even though there was nothing to be worried about. However, I still do think that him inviting only underage students and telling them not to tell anybody about this, and also not inviting any parental figures to chaperone this dinner, is still sketchy. And the fact that the restaurant allowed this is even crazier. And I honestly need the guest list for the past 90 days. I need to figure something out. This proposition to be a tutor for the volunteer literacy program was not what Maria had hoped for, so she declines this offer because she thought that Mr. Riley liked her and not 26 other students and her.
You'll make a great tutor.
So,
Before you met Mr. Riley, that wasn't even in the cards. Just think of what he's given you.
since when were you an optimist?
Since you needed me to be one.
In the end, Maria still doesn't like Brock because who would? But admits that she only enjoys his company when they all hang out together.
He's not the best part, believe me. It's the four of us hanging out.
So, any chance of love with Brock?
Not really like love. Definitely not love. More like barely tolerate.
I was scrolling feed and saw a meme that perfectly sums up my thoughts on this entire episode. And I think this may be the dilemma that Maria was in this episode. For me, in a predicament like this now, being 25, which Sharon says is old, and having way older men flirting with me just always gives me the ick, and I just immediately become just a girl in that moment. Of course, Maria should only be interpreting this situation as creepy as a minor. Sure, an older man could be nice in a cute girl dad way, but the cynicism in you just makes you question if there's a possibility for perversion as well. And how you handle these interpretations is completely different, right? Unfortunately, in this case, Maria was interpreting Mr. Riley's validation as flirting or romantic feelings. The only response to her interpreting Mr. Riley flirting with her is to report his ass to the authorities instead of pursuing him. And of course, it isn't just the flirting, right? She genuinely could have built a case on him, in my opinion, because it's the shoulder touching, the comments about him blushing at the things that she's saying to him, and most importantly, inviting her out to a secret rendezvous at Chez Renee. The SWAT team would have been coming down from the ceiling as soon as Maria and Mr. Riley stepped past that restaurant's threshold if they was dealing with me. Which is why it's important to have people like Sharon or Adam in her life to speak some sense into the situation, and not an Alden or Brock feeding into this, trying to turn Brock into a more mature figure to match Mr. Riley's energy, because that's what Maria likes. But of course, y'all know I always leave y'all with some closing questions. Do you think that Braceface actually handled this storyline responsibly, or was it just poor judgment in storytelling? And when you were a kid and you watched this episode, did you think that Mr. Riley was charming or creepy? Or did you not notice at all until rewatching it as an adult? Let me know. Also, warning, if you decide to binge watch Braceface, the theme song will become stuck in your head. But I hope you all enjoyed this video. If you would like to keep up with me outside of YouTube, you can follow me on TikTok, Instagram, Blue Sky. All that information is in my description box down below. If you made it to the end, please be sure to give this video a big thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and if you would like to, please subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell to stay up to date with posts and uploads from me. But for now, I hope you guys have a great rest of your week, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.